you're going to be watching over here. This is what it's all about. It's about Shabbat on the calendar of this week of Parshat Vayetzei. Already all excited. We've got to prepare, obviously, prior in of itself, because it's going to be Shabbat, and we await it every single day of the week, and that's why every single day we, inside the prayers in the Shacharit service, we say Hayom Yom Rishon, Hayom Yom Sheni, Hayom Yom Shlishi. We count towards the Shabbat itself, and then obviously on Shabbat itself we sing Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat inside the tefillot, inside the synagogue. But I had a beautiful Torah idea from Yisachar Fround within regards to this week's Torah portion, so it has to really be shared over, let's just say, in of itself. Parshat Vayetzei, 7th Parsha. Here we are in the book of Bereshit. Now, this week's Parsha contains the famous dream of Jacob, of Yaakov Avinu, the dream of the ladder, with its legs on the ground and its head reaching heavenward. The angels of God ascend and descend this ladder, go up and down. The great Baal HaTurim makes the following interesting, but let's say almost inscrutable comment. The numerical value of the Hebrew word of ladder, of sulam, it actually equals the numerical value, the gematria, of the Hebrew word for money, mammon. The common gematria numerical value of 136 obviously teaches, let's say, some kind of a symbolism between the angels ascending and descending the ladder, and money and mammon. What's this connection? What's the kesher between them? So one of the great standard interpretations, you could say, the Baal HaTurim, is based on the fact that one of the great tests in life is how we handle money. We give them money. What do we do with it? There's so many laws with regards to the halachot of money. So the Rabbi Fround once read an essay from a Rabbi Yaakov Luber on this specific topic in of itself. And there's this phenomenon, let's just say, in life, whereby when a person is learning in a Talmudic academy inside yeshiva, and he strives to reach, let's say, peaks in spirituality, in growth, in intellectual accomplishments, in midot, in a kinyan of Torah knowledge, acquisition of Torah knowledge itself, respectively. Many times, however, when, let's say, this same individual leaves walls of the yeshiva, this Talmudic academy, goes somewhere else, all of a sudden the priorities are going to change. He's no longer got that yearning, let's just say, for growth. Spirituality can start to dwindle at that point in time once the individual leaves. Now, the primary reason for this is that when a person leaves the Talmudic academy, the yeshiva, and then he goes, let's say, from being someone, let's just say, many yeshiva bochrim students will be single and will rely on the support of their parents. All of a sudden, that's not the same situation at that point in time. They maybe go on for marriage and they're going to be responsible for their own livelihoods. All of a sudden, outlook in life is going to change tremendously. Let's say the troubles and the burdens of making a living at this point in time can change an individual's entire outlook on life. Now, a person becomes, let's say, so engrossed or consumed with trying to, let's say, especially when there's responsibility, and rightfully so, to earn the parnasa for himself and his family. The priorities that were once important to him while he was a yeshiva student, having a great chavruta, for example, having a great month of Elul, that can fall on the wayside at that stage in time and no longer be seen as essential or important. All of a sudden, it's priorities, and rightly so. Thank God, Hashem has blessed an individual with children, with a wife. So all of a sudden, responsibilities of paying mortgages and putting food on the table will become very, very important. Now, the yoke of earning a living is one of the major nisyanot, tests of life, not only in terms of making a living, but also in terms of the tests a person confronts when he is inside the working world. Many challenges just with regards to responsibilities with money. All of a sudden, when you're in the workplace, you've got to remain honest. There's deals with integrity, not, let's say, not cheating, not being a shrewd businessman too much, not trying to cheat people, being honest, paying on time. So many different laws entail within regards to the workforce. However, Rob Fround says that this is what maybe the Baal HaTurim means here when Jacob is leaving the comfort and protection of his parental home, and he's about to embark on the rest of his life's journey into the real world. He sees this ladder, this sulam, representing the challenges, let's say, of money, of earning a living. He sees the angels of God ascending and descending the ladder. He sees both the potential for ascent as well as a potential for descent in trying to traverse the ladder, attempting to earn a living. Now Jacob, Yaakov Avinu, he passes this test of earning a livelihood with flying colors. We very much see this in this week's Parsha, in Parshat Vayetzei. We've just got to look at it in the synagogue on Shabbat. Not only did he not cheat or cut corners, he was he was very, very honest. He was honest with a father-in-law who was a shrewd, who was, you could say, he was known as Lavan Haramai. He was a cheat, he was a trickster, his father-in-law was. This did not give Yaakov, the rationalization to say, you need to cheat a cheater. You need to fight fire with fire. This was not his calculation. We see this very much inside this parsha. We're talking about responsibilities. All of a sudden, I've got my just a baby daughter here, enjoying the words of Torah over here. You won't see her in the background. Now, when Jacob finally left the house of Lavan chased after Yaakov and overtook him at Mount Gilead. The Almighty came to Lavan in a dream and told him, take heed that you not speak to Yaakov, either good or evil. This is what's said over. In effect, God warned Lavan, Hashem warned Lavan, don't lay a finger on Yaakov Avinu. Now the great Midrash Tanhuma says a very interesting thing on this specific verse. We see from here that the merit of Yaakov's honest work for Lavan brought him more protective merit, even than the merit of his fathers. What do you call the merit of the fathers? We all know, we've spoken about this before. Zechut Avot. Now the Midrash bases this on the verse, except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Yitzchak, the Pachad Yitzchak, has been on my side. Surely now would you have sent me away empty. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and he chastised last night. This is actually what's featured in Bereshit in chapter 31, verse 42. Now, Rabbi Frand actually feels that this dialogue here between Yaakov and Lavan is one of the most moving dialogues in the entire Torah. Lavan comes to Yaakov and says to him, what are you doing? You took my daughters. You cheated me. What kind of business is this? Obviously, Lavan, being a trickster, is going to use his bad midot and characteristics over here and portray that Jacob actually has these, which obviously was totally false. Now, Yaakov Avinu then pours out his heart at his father-in-law. As if you read the parsha itself, you're going to see this. He goes through the whole, let's say, itinerary and all the different complaints against Lavan, all the things that Lavan has portrayed and accused him of. And he says, I didn't cheat you. You cheated me, Lavan. Over here, he says, I suffered the cold. I suffered the heat. I faithfully took care of your sheep for these 20 long years. Remember, it was 7 plus 7, and then the years afterwards, the extra 6 years afterwards. And remember, that 7 extra years was not done in true faith from the beginning. He was meant to marry Rachel at the beginning. At the end, he tricked him and married him with Leah at the end. I hardly had time to sleep at night. You kept changing the terms of my service to improve your position. You know, like many shrewd or cheating businessmen always changes their position, and then they say this. If not for the God of Abraham and the fear of Yitzchak, Pachad Yitzchak, my Zchut Avot, my merits from the forefathers that stood by me, I would be left penniless over here. I would have no money after these 20 years of work. I would have left your house as, let's say, a poor person, a pauper. Furthermore, God saw my efforts and the work of my hands, and he chastised last night. Now, the Midrash itself interprets this pasuk as follows: the Zechut Avot, the merit of our ancestors, his ancestors, only aided him in that it allowed him to escape Lavan without being penniless. However, the fact that Lavan was not able to touch him, the fact that he escaped intact as a wealthy man with a large family, obviously there was abundance, there was nearly the completion of the 12 tribes, as we see in this week's Parsha. I think Benjamin will be not born in this week's Parsha, but in the following Parsha. That was a reward for the faithfulness of his work. It was because Hashem saw his honesty and dedication to his work, and he appeared to Lavan and prohibited Lavan from harming Yaakov in any shape or form. Now, actually, to add on extra, the Midrash says, we see from here that a person should not slough off in his job. Should not take it easy. He should not say, I can take it easy and not put 100% effort for my employer. A person must put his full and honest effort in all his labor so that Hashem can send forth in blessing to him. Now the Rambam, just to add on further, we're going to conclude in a minute. The Rambam writes in his last law, I think in the Hilchot Sehirot in chapter 13, number 7, just as the employer has to treat the poor or the worker honestly, maybe it's not poor in all cases, so to the let's say the poor, the worker, is warned not to steal the work of the employer and take up a little time here and a little time there, thereby spending the entire day in deceit. Remember, many people in workforces you could see all over the world could have a long coffee break, could be schmoozing, but they're being paid to work at that point in time, or could be doing this and that. Rather, he must be meticulous with himself during the time he is working, because the great rabbis were particular that he should not recite the fourth blessing of Birkat Hamazon, since, let's just say, it will not maybe utilize his time, he's obligated in working his employer. So too he must work with all the strength, as the great righteous Yitzhak did, said, "For with all my strength I worked for your father. Therefore he took reward for this, even in this world," as it's written. And the man prospered very, very much. It's interesting to note that the Rambam refers to Jacob here or Yaakov as Yaakov HaTzadik. Now this word Yaakov HaTzadik is a terminology we use for Yosef, you see, for Joseph. Not merely for Yaakov, we say Yosef HaTzadik in many cases. So why is he referred to as Yaakov HaTzadik? It is because he was an honest worker. He is a paradigm of an honest employee. So any one of us out there, we want to have this title of someone under the terminology of Hatzadik. It's just we see the importance within regards to that. It's very much we can actually acquire this by being honest in our dealings, honest in the workplace, in the workforce, whatever tasks we are doing, and that's just the importance within regards to that, which I very, very much recommend everyone to do. We're going into our workplaces, and honesty, integrity is essential, and it's very, very important in life. And what we can do with just a bit of honesty, what one could say, everything is from this, everything from that. How can we survive? How can we survive? Hashem has given us a rule book inside the Torah of what we actually do, what we can do, and what we can achieve. And that is that not by being shrewd, it's by being honesty, by keeping all the various different mitzvot, whatever we need to keep, and whatever is needed. Honesty, integrity is important, and is a main fabric in life. And that's it. We've got our code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is like a manual book. It tells us everything that we are meant to do in every single aspect of our lives. It was written by Rabbi Yosef Karo. If we follow this manual, let's just say, this book, the Code of Jewish Law, it gives us the advice of how to live a proper life, how to live the best life, not just a life here in Olam Hazeh, but also in Olam Haba, how to get the ticket to the world in Olam Haba, and everything's in. And yes, sure, there's going to be challenges we see in life. This might happen, these unexpected things, but it's how we deal with these challenges, how we rise above it, and how we shine from it. That's important. But the main thing is, it's just like Yaakov had tzaddik. He followed the rule book. He did everything he was meant to do in his business thing. He didn't cut any corners. He didn't cheat. And remember, Yaakov Avinu was in an environment where this cheating with Lavan non-stop. He's around this environment. Remember when he married Leah, that was Lavan actually joined the entire community of that specific area, and they all tricked Yaakov at that point in time within regards to that. So it was in this sphere, this environment, he could have easily rationalized that, but no, Yaakov HaTzadik, he still did everything honestly, and the Kiddush Hashem was absolutely phenomenal. And how important that happens to be. So friends, everyone, wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom U'Mavarach. We're going to Parshat Vayetzei over here. Just had a special guest star over here right next to me, listening to the words of Torah and words of inspiration, and nothing like it. And really, really appreciate all the fantastic feedback everyone has given over here. And maybe Mazal, Bracha, Bezrat Hashem, a lot of goods, Bezrat Hashem. And please, everyone also pray for Dov Bat Malika to have a full refuah shlema, please. And wishing all a Shabbat Shalom. And thank you very much for watching. Take care and have a great Shabbat. Thanks. I appreciate very much. Thank you very much, everyone.